Hi, today we move from preliminary programming to concept development. Concept development, called schematic design or preliminary design, is the next phase of the design process. This phase seeks to define the how. The designer will apply the answers to the programming questions in this phase of the design project. So last week and the week before, you began to work on the what the client wants in terms of what the client wants for terms of how it looks and how they would like the space function, how they utilize the space, and a little bit about your client and the emotion that they feel towards their space. While the programming phase that you've been working on calls for systematic documentation, the design process involves synthesis, or the bringing together and integrating various issues and aspects of the design problem. So you're taking together the design problem, you've created a statement for what your clients want, and now you're going to begin to create schematics or preliminary design ideas for your project. Again, this is a step or a stage of the design process so that you don't quickly move from thinking that you know what the client wants and jumping right into AutoCAD, jumping right into your projects, and perhaps wasting valuable time and money. So at each stage, you're going to present ideas to your client, and your clients are going to either approve or have you go back and work on your ideas before you hit the final design and work on your concepts. In this lesson, the objectives are concept development. Once the design program document is approved, now your concept development phase begins. The initial ideation stage involves brainstorming, which you'll be working on today. This can be both verbal, through sketches, or even written. Again, before filtering out unworkable ideas and refining the workable ones until one or more main design concepts emerge. So it's a process. For those of you who are taking space planning, we're moving more in this direction as we teach space planning, that there is a process and several ideas must be presented to your client through sketch, through communication, before moving on to this one idea or main concept that emerges. Today you're going to review the floor plan, and sometimes I call that a footprint. So a footprint is the outline of the floor plan. So if you think about the actual space, picture this as the slab maybe that your clients have that they'll be building their home. So that's the footprint. And today we're going to determine the location of the major areas of the home. And you're going to create a bubble diagram and a party or block diagram. Because this project is based on an actual client, I have included in the PowerPoint a very faint outline of how the final project came together. What I would like you to do is kind of just think about the space, thinking about your client, and how would you organize the rooms of the house according to the site, the view, what your clients want, how they live. So I would suggest practicing creating your own bubble diagram first, and I'll go over that in the second video. And then I encourage you just to kind of see how it laid out and follow that layout with minor modifications. So some students keep it almost exactly like it is with maybe just a few little changes, while other students really start getting interested in this process and actually start flipping the house and moving things around and doing things like that. That is up to you. If you are one of those students who are up for that challenge of really kind of changing things around, please, you'll pass it by me as I represent your client. So after you've recreated your bubble diagrams and your block diagrams, you're going to move to the concept statement. So the concept statement is going to be different than your project statement. So in your project statement, you basically gathered all of the what's. So for example, it's going to be a desert home with Baroque influences. And in your concept statement, you're going to begin to add the kind of the quick how and a quick station. Like, how are you going to achieve that, what it's going to look like, and I've given you an example of what my concept statement will look like. Next, you're going to move to the steps to complete this section. I'll do a separate video to go over the concept development PowerPoint template. I've created a lecture here about how to create and develop your diagrams and concept statements. So let me just go back quickly. In step 1, here's my PowerPoint template for you to use to create your bubble diagrams. So I know that half of the class is online and half of the class is in person. Our in-person class will be working with tracing paper over the floor plan to work on their diagrams. I understand that the online students may not have that opportunity, having templates or having tracing paper and such, so you have the opportunity to either do your bubble diagrams and blocks in PowerPoint using this template, or you can go ahead and, if you have the supplies, you can also do it with tracing paper. You're going to submit your bubble diagram. Your bubble diagram, which I will go over, will talk a little bit about adjacencies, which rooms go next to each other, such as typically a master bathroom, or the owner's bathroom goes next to the owner's sleeping area, or a kitchen typically goes next to an eating area. So adjacencies, major traffic patterns, how people typically move through a space, and your design solutions. After your bubble diagram, you'll create a block diagram. Now, block diagrams are a really great tool following a bubble diagram. So a block diagram actually kind of helps you build squares at the approximate square footage that you think the client will need for each room. So it's taking your bubble diagram and it's breaking it up into blocks according to the zones and locations of the home, and you start to get a feel of the square footage. So it's a little tighter than the loose bubble diagrams. And then finally, in your final assignment, you'll be submitting your concept statement. Please move to the other video to go over your bubble diagram and party diagram.